and welcome back to the second episode of my Be Kind to Your Mind series. Today, we'll be reading the story about Eve the elephant, learning that kind words can give us strength. The warm sun rose over the African landscape, awakening the creatures below. One of these creatures was Eve, a young elephant with stumpy little legs that caused her to trip and fall. The older elephants made fun of her, calling her clumsy and stupid. Her best friend, however, admired her an awful lot. Her best friend was an oxpecker named Oscar, and he thought Eve was wonderful. "Wakey, wakey, rise and shine, Eve, it's a beautiful day," Oscar said whilst attempting to pick up Eve's trunk with his wings. She grunted, flopping an ear over her eyes, shielding herself from this enthusiastic little bird. "Don't you know what today is?" Eve knew exactly what today was, and she had been dreading it. "We are going to meet the herd from across the valley. Isn't that exciting?" "Not really," Eve murmured under her breath. She sat up and yawned as Oscar perched on the end of her trunk, staring at her inquisitively. "All the elephants around here make fun of me. How do I know the elephants in the other herd are going to be any different? I'm clumsy, forgetful, and I can't do anything without your help." She sighed. "Well, Eve, there's no shame in others helping you. Anyway, you and I, we're the dream team. Yeah?" Eve stared at him. It was going to take a lot more convincing than that to get her enthusiastic about the day. "Listen, you may be a little clumsy, but you're also intelligent and strong and a great swimmer. And no matter what those meanies say, you always hold your trunk up high. And that's very admirable, Eve. You are brilliant." "You think so?" "I know so," beamed Oscar. "Now come on, let's go join the rest of the herd." Eve stood up, fell over, and then stood up again. Oscar flew beside her as she walked towards the parade of elephants. The elephant at the front yelled, "Right, we'll be walking for most of the day, so make sure you look after one another, and please let's walk in an orderly fashion." Some of the older elephants started whispering and laughing and pointing at Eve, but she pretended not to notice. "Hey, shall I go tie their tails together?" said Oscar. "No, it's not worth it," Eve said with a smile on her face and her trunk held up high. They walked for hours and hours under the hot sun. Oscar flitted about, playing games and helping pass the time. Eve tripped and stumbled, but Oscar made sure that she got up okay and that the older elephants did not realise. The sky slowly became darker. Thick clouds covered the sun, and soon enough it began to rain. Eve quite enjoyed the rain. It cooled her down and made her feel refreshed. She was happy. Oscar took shelter under one of her ears. "Look out!" he yelled suddenly. Thick, oozing mud caused Eve to slip and to trip and to fall and to sink. She was stuck in a deep puddle of mud. The elephants ahead hadn't noticed. Oscar tried to pull her out by her trunk, but he was not strong enough. "I'll go get help," he said. "No," yelled Eve. "If they see me like this, they'll tease me." "I'm sorry, Eve, but your safety's more important." And he flew away. Eve sat, sinking, all alone, and she began to cry. She squirmed about in the mud, trying to push herself out of this hole, but there was nothing she could do. She gave up. Eve! It was Oscar and some of the older elephants. As they arrived to the edge of the muddy pit, they too began to sink. Taking a step back, one said, "We can't help you. Anyone who tries will sink too." Eve's tears were in full flow now. She didn't see a way out of this. The elephants all gathered round, and Oscar flitted by her. He looked her dead in the eyes and said, "You're the best swimmer I know. Swim out." "What? Swim out. You're strong, Eve. Swim out." "Yeah, Eve, swim. You can do it. You've got this, Eve." A chorus of encouragement grew from the crowd as Eve slowly set herself free. And at the last moment, one elephant held out his trunk and pulled her to safety. The elephants crowded round, ensuring that she was okay. Some older elephants apologised for what they had said before. Others offered hugs and kind words and affection. The elder elephant stepped forward, suggesting that they hold each other's trunks and tails from now on for safety. They continued on their journey to the herd over the valley, and when they got there, Eve was introduced as strong, and she was no longer defined by her flaws. Oscar flew close to Eve, whispering, "I told you, you are wonderful." And that's the story of Eve the elephant, teaching us that kind words can give us strength. Please join me next week to begin Pride Month with the story of how the moth was always truly a butterfly. Thank you.